Two Millennials Talk. I'm Keon Rose.
I'm Russell Stroud.
And
this always begins with you saying and then asking me if I have anything.
Well, I was actually going to say, and how about that healthcare bill?
Oh, the healthcare. Yeah. That's a thing. The American Healthcare Bill, or Healthcare Act, a.k.a. Ryan Care, sometimes a.k.a. Trump Care. It made it through the House, but it's probably not going to make it through the Senate because most of the Senate says they're actually not going to vote on it. They're going to redact it and revise it heavily, and then maybe they'll do something with it. So,
yeah, which is why it's weird that it's sort of being raised as this victory for the Trump administration. It's like, not yet.
No, not yet. I mean, honestly, it might actually be a bigger victory for the Democrats because if they can ride on the wave of people being upset about CARE Act, then they might actually be able to win in the midterm elections. But that's a whole big discussion, man.
Yeah, which we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. I just thought that's fascinating that happened today.
Yeah, and it's really not surprising. They were talking about how hard it's going to be to scrape together the votes. I don't think it was that hard, actually, because, I mean, you have a Republican majority. How hard could it possibly be? Plus, you had like 4 Democrats who voted for it. So, yeah, if anyone thought Democrats were a monolith, there you go.
They're not. Well, neither party really is, because it's like there are Democrats that are cool with it, and then you've got like the Freedom Caucus on the Republican side, where it's like if they don't feel like this bill does enough, or actually any decision that Paul Ryan or Donald Trump ever make, if they feel like it doesn't do enough, the Freedom Caucus is like, no. Yeah. If they propose a budget and the budget doesn't have enough cuts in it, the Freedom Caucus is just like basically Dikembe Mutombo trying to block the rim and just they swat down anything that comes up there.
Yeah, I mean, geez.
Sports analogies.
Thank you. I almost know what that means. As soon as you said block the rim, I was like, a basketball man.
Yeah.
One of those basketball men. Yeah, no, I mean, see, this, I hate the two-party system, man. I think it's ridiculous because it's not an ingrained thing. There's no requirement in America for there to be a two-party system. And we've talked about the mathematics of why there is one. I just hate it because I don't like either party. I think they're all a bunch of idiots, but you know, that's me.
Yeah, we've got blowhards on both sides of the fence on that one. Where you just, I mean, it's crazy to me because it's like you first off, like you have a guy like Donald Trump, and then the Democrats who seemed so certain they were going to win the election, they have no plan. They have no plan for. Like, they didn't have a Donald Trump plan. Like, okay, well, this is what's going to happen when we're the minority and everything, just in case.
There's no backup. Yeah, they're expecting to be able to sweep in and be like, we can do everything now, but that's not really happening.
And we freak out about this stuff all the time. And it's just, I know I say it all the time, but like politics and sports to me, like they're almost the same thing. Where like you'll watch a game, like, you know, like a football game, and if a team loses 2 games in a row, the sky is falling and their season's over.
Yeah.
And if they win 2 games in a row, why they're going to the Super Bowl next? You know, and it's
why the Hawks are going to the Super Bowl tomorrow.
Yeah, right. So you've got you've got the thing where like you've got the election with Obama, you win. You've got 8 years of Obama, and for some reason, everyone was just under the impression that like Democrats run this country now. What are the Republicans going to do? They're reeling. Everything's a mess. Trump wins the election. Oh no, the Democrats are reeling. And there's no middle. There's never you know what? We're just going to be kind of a moderate nation right now.
Yeah.
You just sort of, the pendulum is swung all the way in the opposite direction. And that doesn't, like, when you talk to actual real people on this planet, that doesn't actually seem to be the case.
Yeah.
Like, no one is that extreme.
I think people are getting more extreme, though, as time goes by.
That's true.
I mean, I wouldn't use Twitter as a gauge of that because people always present their most extreme person on Twitter unless they're trying to be like a PR angel. But like, it does seem like if you look at the protests and things that have been going around, I think that we might be more polarized than we were maybe 10 years ago. It's still not as bad as the 60s, though, I'd say.
I wouldn't say so either. I think that people are more extreme than they used to be. I don't know, but I don't know how bad it is and if how much of that is just the extremes are just so much louder than ever.
That could be it too, because it is a squeakiest wheel type deal, but now you have like 2 squeaky wheels and they're both really loud.
They're both really loud and wanting to move the car in opposite directions.
Yeah, so you're just going to get split down the middle. Oh, dang.
It's
not that I care.
And the thing is, like, to mock each other, they all call each other the same thing. Like, I was listening to Hannity, and he's talking about liberal fascists.
Yeah.
We were talking a little about Antifa last week, but like you've just got people, everybody on both sides are calling each other fascists, and they're calling each other all of these names, and they're all the same names. It makes it so confusing to follow if you're just a normal person going, I just want the country to run correctly.
I don't know if I do, though. Is like, I want the country to run correctly, but my idea of correctly is really different from most people.
I don't think, like, for me, I guess I always grew up more liberal.
Yeah.
And I suppose the more that I've seen governments try to do things and fail horribly, the less I trust government to accomplish anything.
I trust market solutions more than I trust government solutions. Not to say that market solutions are always the best ones, but I would trust them over government because, like, McDonald's isn't going to shoot me for buying Burger King. You know what I mean?
Right. They're predictable. Like, a market solution is going to be a predictable solution. Where's the profit, essentially? Yeah. Government solution is what do you want? Is it power? Is it money? Is it to set up your family? What do you want? It could be any number of things, and governments end up not being forthcoming. Like, even when corporations are corrupt, they're all corrupt in the same way.
Yeah.
It's all profit based. It's what makes us more money. Like, Volkswagen is gonna spoof their emissions tests so that they can basically sell more cars. Well, I mean, that's a predictable way to cheat. Like, that's not, when you heard that, you were surprised because you had a high opinion of Volkswagen, but you weren't surprised that a car company would do that.
Yeah, and of course, it might be a little bit of an odd analogy too, because the emission standards were set up by a government entity.
Well, yeah, that's this is also true. But it's like, but people in government, I think, mean well. I just think the more people you get together, and I always feel this way when I'm driving on the road and I'm driving behind a bunch of people, like, the more people you pack together, just the collective IQ just drops.
Oh yeah, I've said that before, that a person is smart and people are stupid. I think that's absolutely
that's
true.
A great way of saying that. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely true, because people tend to be really, really stupid, but individuals tend to be really, really smart. But you have the groupthink thing. I mean, you've heard about the tyranny of the 51% before, where it's like you have 49% of people who think one way, but people who think, 51% of the people who think this way win.
Right.
Even if they're right or wrong, they win because you have democracy. So it's a problem.
It's continuing to be a problem. And like, when you look at the election, let's say, like, a lot of Democrats still upset Hillary won the popular vote and everything, but it's still like, so Hillary wins the election, let's say, right? Yeah. Like, say we don't have the Electoral College, toss that out. Hillary wins the election. You still realize that, like, Hillary wins the popular vote. It's by such a small margin that there's a lot of people that do not like her that now live in that particular America. Like, we don't have a drastically different problem if she's president.
Yeah.
It only works out that way because it's like, oh yeah, my person was the person that this happened to. You put the shoe on the other foot, and then it's like, yeah, it's not a big deal. The Electoral College, it's great.
Yeah, it's one of the things where, like, you accept unfairness if it works in your favor, and that's just human nature, honestly. Like I'll give you a good example. I think this is interesting because this just happened to me 2 days ago. I bought, with cash, by the way, $10 worth of gas at a gas station in Saudi Daisy. I gave her two $5 bills. So my part of the transaction is done. I've given you two $5, clicked the mouse by accident, two $5 bills, and I walk back to the gas pump and I start pumping gas, yeah? I'm not really paying attention because I put $10 in, it's going to stop at 10. So I'm standing there leaning against the car I'm borrowing at the moment, looking at the mountains in Saudi, because beautiful, beautiful country out there. And a gas station attendant comes out from outside, from inside, and approaches me, and she says, "Hey, can you turn off the gas for a second?" I'm thinking, like, there's a problem. Like, oh no, it's going to catch on fire. I turn the thing on. Yeah, what's going on? And she says, "We accidentally gave you $16 instead of $10. So can you just stop it at 10? And of course, I'm going to say, yeah. I mean, yeah. I only paid for 10. I'm not going to take more than that. That's stealing if I take more than 10. So I say, sure. And then I look at the thing, and it reads out 15. Because I wasn't paying attention, I paid for 10. So I get $15 worth of gas. And I tell her, like, it actually just gave me $15 worth of gas. And she says, "Oh, well, okay," and goes back inside. Now, if I'm on the other side of that transaction, I'm pretty upset. It's unfair, but it worked in my favor because of a clerical error, so I'm not really complaining. So it's the same thing with the Electoral College, basically.
Yeah. like, how many times we're going to have to go through this before we just sort of realize, like, if you're in the 49%, like, it stinks though to just sort of be in this place where it feels like nobody's listening to you because you lost.
You suck. Yeah, it does feel that way, because if, like, on the other side of the aisle where we were, where people who are more conservatively minded from 2008 all the way up to just recently were with Obama in office, people thought that they were completely losing the country. You know, like people who are more neocons especially thought that they're just completely losing the country. It's over for me now. You know, the country's going to hell in a handbasket and everything is terrible. And now that it's back, it doesn't seem like we're in much of a better position. And I think a big problem that we're having now is people who are just losing faith in, not necessarily in government, but just in this government entirely, where people who yesterday would have been pretty neutral are today saying, I wish the thing would just shut down. And I think that's a big change we're seeing. But yeah, it's weird, man.
I completely agree. You're listening to Two Millennials Talk on 92.7 FM and AM 1240. I have another thing that I want to pitch at you.
No, please do.
It's a scheme that I've been plotting.
Oh no.
So the price of guns went up during Obama's presidency.
Yes, by a pretty big margin, especially AR-15s.
So here I had an idea.
Okay.
To make some money.
Okay.
We should buy guns now.
Yes.
While we have a conservative president.
And the price is low right now.
Mm-hmm. And then wait till we have another liberal president. And then sell the guns.
That's a sound investment. In fact, people did that in the Bush era. People bought up AR-15s, and then during the Obama presidency, actually something interesting happened during the Obama presidency. Anytime there was a fear of gun control, the price skyrocketed. Especially when you had talks about the president perhaps enacting a ban on assault weapons, especially after Sandy Hook. And it's weird to talk about an event like Sandy Hook in market terms, but after Sandy Hook, you saw a huge increase in the price of assault weapons. I say assault weapons, but I'm just using popular vernacular. It's not, but whatever. And so, yeah, that would totally work. So if you bought like a bunch of AR-15s and then sat on them and waited for Bernie Sanders to get elected in 2020 or whatever, then... I
mean, if it's Bernie, then for sure.
Yeah,
that's going to work wonderfully.
Then absolutely sell them. But on the other hand, I would rather have them than sell them at that point.
Well, I mean, okay, so I guess buy enough for you also, then.
Buy 4, keep 2, sell the rest. People did that, like, in the 90s, though. It was nuts. Like, people made a huge profit on guns, because in the 90s, you had, especially 80s, you had, like, people buying pallets. I know people who did this. They would go in together and buy, like, crates of guns, crates of surplus Soviet guns, because we're talking fresh after the collapse of the Soviet Union. They're selling off a bunch of weaponry because Cold War's over. So people would buy crates full of Mosin Nagants for like $200. They get 10 of them. You know, like crazy prices. They buy them for $40 each. Now you can buy one Mosin Nagant for sometimes $199, and that's a good price. So yeah, I mean, inflation plays in too. But like any gun, if you buy it when it's cheap, it's going to get more expensive at some point. Guns are just in general a good investment. I'd say just in generally a good investment.
I never considered that previously, but I was reading some report on it, and like the price was so much lower right now.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I have never purchased a gun before. I might get some.
I've said this before. Even if you don't like guns and you never ever want to shoot one, I'd say buy one because it's a good thing to hold on to. I mean, A, you have the protection value, but B, you can sell it later and probably make, if not a profit, you'd at least get inflation back, which is more than you get if you held on to cash. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always put it in like a hedge fund too, but that's not as fun.
No, I mean, it's way cooler to say, I just made some money off of guns.
You can't shoot a hedge fund.
This is true. A hedge fund is not going to help protect your family.
I've always thought
in the case of a home invasion.
Ever think about how odd it is that shooting and shooting are like two like shoot a gun or shoot a person? You know, it's two different things. I always thought it was kind of odd.
Yeah, like the verb just changes.
Yeah, you can shoot a gun or you can shoot a person. You're not actually shooting the gun. You're firing the gun and shooting the person. It's weird, man. English language is a bizarre thing.
Yep. That's why it's confusing.
Chronologically confused about vernacular.
and I wish I could find the video. I could never find it, but like I found it like ages ago, and I could never find it again. Rather,
Yeah.
Which is this person sort of just rearranged syllables and made a sort of pseudo English language to simulate for people who speak English how confusing English sounds if you don't speak it.
And he called it Welsh.
We just lost a Welsh listener.
Sorry.
There you go. They're gone.
They have a good sense of humor, though.
But yeah, no, just in case you didn't speak English, like this is how confusing it is. And I listened to it and I was like, yeah, I quit.
I couldn't see. This is why I have problem learning foreign languages, is because English is so beaten into my head. I had an English major for a mom, and she's a writer, so English is just so bashed into my head that there's no way I could learn another language now.
So my mom was in Guyana, and she was an English teacher for a little bit, and so not only is English like the dominant language of my house, but also Guyana used to be a British colony. So every now and then I will say things the way that British people say them. And yeah, it's...
So like you spell civilization with an S instead of a Z?
I mean, fortunately, I didn't write at the time that my mom was teaching me English. Like we moved to America and I was able to like learn. So when I spell it, it's fine.
Okay, so you don't say like Colauer and stuff.
No.
What's the final letter of the alphabet?
Z. Okay. Though you could argue Z.
You'd be wrong. You red coat. Go back. There's only one final letter of the alphabet, and it only has one letter, which is Z. There's no ED at the end. But
like, okay, so when you're talking about has and have, the difference in that, the English say that differently.
Yeah, like, they say they go to hospital instead of go to the hospital.
Yeah, so I'll say that every now and then. Ooh. Or like, oh, the Redskins have more points than the Cowboys, or like rather than has. It's such a it's just a thing, and it slips out, and I'll catch it, but like nobody else will because it doesn't sound off enough.
I don't know, that doesn't sound off to me because I think I say that.
Yeah, I actually think that's also grammatically correct.
Yeah,
there's a line there.
Well, there is like Yankee English and there's Southern English too. There's a
and see,
because like buggies and shopping carts,
Yeah, I'm a shopping cart person, and it's so funny because like I used to work in retail, and then I'll say, so there was a thing that you could push in the store that we used to push like heavy items, and that was the cart, and then the shopping cart, that was the buggy, and that was how you knew the difference. But in my mind, they're just all carts. So I would say, yeah, I'm going to go get this cart. And people thought I was going to get the cart to move heavy objects. And they're like, why? You don't need it. You just need a buggy. And it became this entire, like, who's on third confusing conversation that ended up happening. And, like, further extending my identity crisis as a person who lives in this country. And I've lived in too many different places. And, like, now I don't know how to say words.
You've got, like, the worst possible colloquial situation because you're from a foreign country. You lived in the north, and then you moved to the south, so you're just all over the place, man.
Yeah, and when I moved to the south, I didn't move to like the normal south. I moved to Texas, which is its own place. Like people say stuff in Texas that I've never heard ever again. Like I've left Texas, and I've never heard anybody say the things that people say in Texas.
Do they call pants britches over there? Is that a thing?
Not really. Like if you ride horses, then those pants would be britches. But
watch your language, Keon. We're on radio. Stop that. There's a whole thing where I don't know what's the right thing because my mom is from Michigan, my dad's from Louisiana. So I have this confusing thing where I don't know what I should say given where I am.
Yeah, that's also confusing.
Because I'm from here. I'm from Chattanooga. I was born and raised in Chattanooga. I live in Ringgold, but either way. So like I learned most of the language here, but then half of my friends are also like not from here. They're from other places too. So it gets really confusing. Like the one example I have is shoes. Okay, so there's like sneakers, yeah? And there's tennis shoes. But then there's also like tennies, which I've heard people say.
Yes, that is a thing.
And then there's some other thing for tennis shoes. I can't remember what they are. But I've always just called them tennis shoes, but I don't know if that's a Southern thing or not.
Oh, here's another British. Trainers.
Trainers, yeah. I've never actually heard someone in the U.S. say trainers.
My family says it.
That would confuse the heck out of me.
Oh, it does confuse me. Like my aunts do more so than my mom.
That's another thing you say aunt instead of aunt.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. It's weird, man. Because I'm trying to figure out like how I should be pronouncing things.
I think you should pronounce them however the heck you want.
And which I usually do, but it's funny because then like sometimes I'll say something and people just look at me funny.
Yeah.
And it's not like you don't know how to talk. It's just I didn't know you could pronounce that way. Interesting.
I can't think of anything I've pronounced. Well, there's like caramel and caramel. That's a big thing. And my mom beat it into my head that it's caramel, but then everyone else I know just says caramel. So I don't know what
caramel too.
Yeah, so I don't know what the heck. I don't know what it is now.
It's just confusing.
Yeah.
America.
Well, like Linux distributions, okay? There's Ubuntu, right? But is it Ubuntu? I don't know. Some people say Ubuntu, some people say Ubuntu. I say Ubuntu because Ubuntu sounds stupid.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. As far as like branding goes, if it was Ubuntu, I don't even know if I would mess with it.
No. I just get Debian, or sorry, Debian instead.
Oh no.
Because that's the thing too. Is it Debian or is it Debian?
This potato situation.
Yeah.
With all of these words. It's upsetting me.
The problem is that most people never actually, I mean, I won't say never, but rarely ever actually say the name of their distribution. They type it all the time.
Yeah, you never say it out loud. So it's not until you have to say it out loud that it occurs to you that there's an actual pronunciation of this and what should I actually call it.
I said, like, I used Debian 4 for like 2 years before I ever said it out loud. I put it alongside. I had 2 computers in my room, and I had one that ran Debian. I had another one that ran Ubuntu, and they're both the same thing. I just tried one on one and the other on another. If you're wondering, it was a iMac G4 that was running Debian 4 PowerPC edition. Really interesting, kind of fun. Flash didn't work, so it was basically useless at the time for online browsing. I don't know if HTML5 works in PowerPC. I don't think anyone has support for that, so useless. The lampshade Macs are useless now. Kind of sucks, but whatever.
Yeah. Still, it was worth a shot.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
You know, like because now I have 2 computers. We talked about it on the show one time about buying a Lenovo ThinkPad on eBay, and then
and you followed my advice too, by the way.
Yeah, and it's worked out wonderfully for me. This computer that I ended up getting is way better than the one that I had.
Yeah.
So I've just been messing around with my old MacBook. So I mean, it's worth it just to figure out like how stuff works. Just to play around with it.
Yeah, and your iMac iMac has MacBook. Sorry, your MacBook has Ubuntu on it too, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if we did. Yeah, we installed that. I couldn't remember. It's been too long. It was like half a year ago. I don't remember anything. People, this is a fun little quick factoid. People ask me about different things I've said on the show, just people I know who listen to it. I don't remember anything I say on these shows. Never.
Like, I vaguely remember what we talked about last week. I have no idea what we talked about 2 weeks ago. It's goldfish-esque.
People, seriously, people will tell me like, "Oh, I just love that joke that you said," and I'll be like, "Which one?" They're like, "Oh, when you said this," and I don't remember ever saying that.
My girlfriend, and I'll be really quick, but my girlfriend played our show on a road trip one time, and I was like, "Wow, these guys are pretty funny." Oh, it's us. We said that? Really?
I guess we're pretty good.
I guess we're pretty good. I enjoy us.
Hey.
2 Millennials Talk. I'm Keon Rose.
I'm Russell Stroud.
And we'll be back in just a second.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com, Chattanooga's premier house buyer. Do you have a house you need to sell fast? We are buying. Call us today. We are local folks. We will buy your house as is, no repairs needed. We will give you a cash offer and close on the day of your choice. Call us right now, 423-834-7321. Need to sell a house fast? We are buying. Are you experiencing one of these situations? Inherited a house you have no need for? Behind on your property taxes? Nightmare tenants making your life miserable? Too many repairs needed and don't have a desire to fix. Behind on payments and facing foreclosure. Recently divorced and need a way out of the house. Never really wanted to be a landlord and just want to cash out. Trying to relocate and need to sell your house? Do you need to sell a house fast? We are buying. No fees, no hassles, no repair cost. Close on the day of your choice. Our process is simple. Call us today. We inspect your property right away. We make you a fair cash offer. We close on the day of your choice. Call us today, 423-834-7321. Visit our website, ibuychattanooga.com. Call us today, 423-834-7321. ibuychattanooga.com.
Need windows? Hey folks, do you need new windows? Good news. Window Depot of Chattanooga has a great special going on right now. 10 high-quality, energy-efficient double-hung vinyl windows installed for only $29.90. That's right, 10 double-hung vinyl windows, only $2,990. And yes, they qualify for the TVA rebates. Call 894-0011. Window Depot of Chattanooga today, located at 5950 Shaliford Road. Call 894-0011 today.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. News now. A woman on Ivy Street was shaken by a knock at her door. She opened it to find LeBrandit Williams demanding money, she says. When she told him she didn't have any, he told her this: "You don't know who I owe. Someone's going to die today. I need money." Well, she refused to let him in, she says, and that's when she claims William kicked in the door, took televisions, and left. LeBrandit Williams, who's 32 from Shannon Avenue, is now charged with aggravated burglary. The American Health Care Act has passed in the House, and Lamar Alexander from the Senate says the Senate will now finish work on the bill, but it will take some time to get it right. The search for a new superintendent for Hamilton County Schools is getting closer to an end. 9 candidates have been selected and will be interviewed by the school board. Interim Superintendent Dr. Cupelli is among the 9. A stabbing and a police chase in Monteagle. It all started as a gas station robbery at about 4 o'clock in the evening. Police say that a male gas station clerk was stabbed during the robbery. The suspects then sped away in an SUV. He was chased into Hamilton County, where Marion County Sheriff Bo Burnett says the suspect crashed and was then taken into custody.
Expect scattered showers and a few storms to march in from the south and west through your afternoon and evening. Otherwise windy at times. Highs upper 60s to near 70. Tonight, a lingering shower, cooler by morning, lows upper 40s. For Friday, breezy with showers, highs only to the lower to middle 50s. Continued cool Saturday. The forecast is calling for more rain. And if you're going to be on the road, visibility could be quite low. Napa Auto Parts can help with everything your car needs to keep visibility and an all-time high. That's Napa know-how. And I'm Swargene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I feel good.
Two Millennials Talk. I'm Keon Rose.
And I'm Russell Stroud.
We got really political in the first half.
Yeah, we never do that. He lied.
He lied while grinning mischievously.
I always do.
So what have you got? Now,
Okay.
Now it's my turn to.
Yeah. So I got a Post-it note with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 topics that I wrote down in the span of like 5 minutes. But the one I really want to get into, because it annoyed me yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind, is the whole nerd culture thing that's really become a thing in the last 5 years or so, where people are really big into, like, look at what a giant nerd I am. And it drives me freaking insane, because you got these guys, right, like these celebrities who are like, I do nerd stuff, I'm a celebrity, and they're followed by, like millions of people recognize them. And it's like, oh, nerdy and obscure, right, guys? No one gets this. It just drives me nuts, because you got like people who are like, look at what a big nerd I am. And their favorite movie, that they nerd out about is one that was like a top grossing movie of the year. Like, you're not a nerd because you like Guardians of the Galaxy, man.
Yeah, everybody liked that movie.
Everybody.
It was a good movie.
I like that movie. I'll hate the second one, but I like that movie.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to hate the second one too.
I mean, just going by the trailers.
Just super worried about it.
I'm just done with comic book movies, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I complain about them so much, and then I still give them the money. I ought to know better. But nerd culture is such a weird concept to me, because I feel like we have sort of defined what makes a person a nerd by what they like.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a personality or like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a character trait. You know what I mean? Like it's not about who and how they are. You're right. It's about like what they consume instead, which is kind of odd.
Right. Like if you are a person, and I have some friends that are super into fantasy baseball.
Sure.
And if you are sitting there like drafting your team based on statistical models that you made, you are into sports, and most people would not consider you to be a nerd. But if you're just like into looking at somebody's WAR and their defensive rating as a shortstop, like you are a nerd.
Yeah.
And you are nerdier than a person who's like, I like the Avengers. Because what really everybody liked the Avengers. The first Avengers movie was fun. It was a fun movie that the whole family could enjoy that made basically $1 billion. Like what about that movie makes you a nerd? Now, if you just know like obscure things about Thor for some reason, like if you know who Beta Ray Bill is, I'm not saying that makes you a nerd. I'm saying you at least are at the door.
Yeah, I'd go with that. Sure. I don't know who Beta Ray Bill is, so I guess I've failed that test.
He's a Thor character.
Oh, yeah.
He's in the Thor universe in the comics. We might end up seeing him in the movies, but if you only know about him after he shows up in some movies, I mean, that's not you.
Yeah, man. Like that's the other thing that drives me nuts is they're like, "Oh, I'm such a big comic book nerd. Have you seen Logan?" It's like, I mean, yeah, but
I mean, it was good, but like, what are you getting at?
So, it's like, man, such a nerd going to see Logan. Such a nerd. I'm a fan of Star Wars. Like, okay, you're a fan of Star Wars. Big whoop.
Look, superhero movies are the movie of our day. You are no more a nerd for liking those movies than people were for liking Westerns back in the day.
No, yeah.
When that was the movie of choice. I don't get it. Like when noir movies were the new movie of choice in the 60s, like it doesn't mean that you were a nerd because, yeah, man, I watched The French Connection, that Popeye Doyle. What are you doing?
Have you seen The Maltese Falcon? What a nerdy movie.
Right.
That Sam Spade guy, what a nerd.
Like this is the movie of our day. And because it's associated with something that did used to be nerdy, that doesn't make it nerdy now. And I blame almost implicitly The Big Bang Theory.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think Big Bang Theory cashed in on something that already existed because they wouldn't make it if there was no market for it. But yeah, I despise that show with every fiber of my being. There are, I hate saying this, but there are funny lines. But gosh, and I've been told before, and this is what drives me nuts too. I've been told before, like, you're so much like Sheldon Russell, and I'm like, no.
And that to me is the mark of that being an awful show.
Yes.
Everyone is Sheldon.
Yeah.
Nobody identifies with anybody else in that show. Like no one looks at somebody and goes, yeah, you're Wolowitz.
I don't even know who that is.
He's the only reason why I remember his name is because like one of the things that they make fun of is that he's Jew, which is just like, now that I think about it, really awful.
Well, that's actually, I don't know.
but yeah, no.
Well, maybe I like the show now. I don't know.
If you but like nobody identifies with anybody else on that show. Like I watched the first season of that show and I just was trying to like find something to like about it. And I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna have to drop this one. This is not for me.
I don't know. That's hard when you have to find something to like about it though.
Nobody identifies with any of the other characters on that show. Everybody, even Sheldon really, but like Sheldon is like the more distinct of all the characters. But everybody on that show is a two-dimensional character.
I should just say I think I'm more like Penny.
But nobody identifies with Penny. There are women that don't identify with Penny.
Yeah, because like, who is she anyway? You know, like I mean, think about it, like who is she anyway?
Well, here's the thing: like she was supposed to be their attractive neighbor. The issue with that show is they've all gotten more attractive as the show's gone on.
Yeah, that's
as the budget gets bigger, as you've noticed. And then like they all are supposed to be these nerdy guys that can't talk to women. Everybody's got a girlfriend.
Yeah, that don't fly, buddy.
Like
Sorry.
the whole first, and I put this in quotes, story arc of the show was the main character was trying to talk to Penny because she was the hot neighbor and they were all nerds.
Well,
and
that's like funny though.
Yeah, but then he gets Penny.
No.
So then there's nothing to do after that. And then everybody else gets girlfriends. What happens on that show?
See, this is where shows like, what's the thing? The IT Crowd. Shows like that succeed in that area because they're probably written by people like us, you know? But like, as far as I remember, there's not a whole lot of interest from Roy in Jen. He's not like enamored with her. He's more indifferent for the first season. You know, they get to be friends, but it's not like, oh, Jen's so hot, I have to be her girlfriend now.
Yeah, in fact,
her boyfriend now.
Roy tends to chase around everybody else in the office.
Yeah,
and the joke is that he is constantly rejected.
Yeah.
For how hard he tries.
And the best thing about Jen, though, is she's smart, but she's really dumb when it comes to tech stuff. And I don't know, like, I could go on forever about why I like that show. Half it's because it has guided by voices in it at one point, but that's another story.
That is another story. But like, okay, so it's funny that you mentioned that show, because if you want to talk about a show with relatable characters, you know people like Jen. You know people who are super intelligent. You hand them a computer and you might as well have just sent them back to the Stone Age. They have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you know Jens. You know Roy's. You know people like Moss. Like, you know these people. So, like, they're characters that have more than one dimension to them. That the Big Bang Theory is not that.
Yeah, I think the other thing is that the IT crowd has good writing, like, added onto a gimmick. You know, every show has a gimmick. It has the thing. The IT crowd is that it has nerdy references, and it's like, it's got cool, mass marketed but somewhat obscure nerd culture, whatever crap in it, and it also has good writing. It's like The Simpsons couldn't just be a show about yellow cartoon people. It also has to be a well-written show about yellow cartoon people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why people don't really like The Simpsons now. It's not a well-written show anymore.
Yeah, the writing quality went down the tubes.
But when you look at The Big Bang Theory, like, all it has going for it are these nerd references. Like you said, the writing's not strong, but for some reason, these nerd references have just sort of expanded into everything else. Like, so it's cool to be able to pick up on these references without actually being a nerdy person. So you just get to be in the culture.
Yeah, you feel like you're in the know now.
And I'm not trying to be one of those people that's just like, no, you don't get to be a real nerd. This is what it takes to be a real nerd.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that. But like, there's this idea that like, oh, if you like comic books, you're a nerd, or you like comic book movies, you're a nerd. Look, I'm wearing my Flash shirt. So, and I watched the Flash on CW, so I'm a nerd now.
Oh,
it's like, well, no, you're not. What would make you a nerd is if you like anything at all. It doesn't matter whether it's comic books or sports or space. If you like it to the point where you start learning really obscure stuff about it, you're a nerd. Like, you're a gun nerd.
Yes. Well, kind of.
You say kind of, but we watch every show, and like, you can identify the gun on sight that's in the show.
Well, yeah.
I cannot do that, and I do not know anybody else who can do that. Like, there is some level of nerddom there.
That's true. I did recognize the Vector at one point, but no one ever knows what the Vector looks like. Not the Vector Chris, by the way. The South African Vector.
Yeah, I mean, only you would know that, man.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. It's a good thing to have an interest in a hobby that's so very much yours that you don't mind digging into it, and it feels completely natural and normal to you to do that.
Yeah.
That's what it is to be a nerd. That's all it is. It's not anything, this super special thing where you're just, well, I know like the entire history of Superman dating all the way back to 1950. Like, no, you don't have to go all the way back there. It's fine. You just have to like something enough to where it's second nature to you, even like the deepest parts of it. That's all it is.
I'm kind of that way with Blade Runner. I wouldn't say I don't know nearly as much about Blade Runner as a lot of other people, but I know stuff about it that probably most people don't. So I guess I'm into Blade Runner I'm a Blade Runner nerd, I guess. Which is kind of weird to be a nerd about one movie.
It is kind of weird to be a nerd about one movie, but like, the people who are really Star Wars nerds that have like grown up watching those movies, that have watched them multiples of times.
Yeah.
That to me is, I mean, it happens. If you like something enough, you will just know it. You know?
You like if you know arcane stuff like the not Elseworlds, but whatever the Star Wars equivalent of Elseworlds was, comic where it was like you want to get the phone? Should we get the phone?
Let's get the phone.
Oh my gosh,
got a caller.
What the heck? Caller, you're on the air.
You guys are actually pretty funny.
Well, thank you.
However, I love The Big Bang Theory.
I knew it.
That is one of the best written shows I have ever seen.
Well,
You don't get it because of your age.
Because of my age.
Every engineer is Sheldon, okay? And I can relate to every single one of those characters. I've met people in my life that are every single one of those characters.
Well,
but
I mean, I
don't think you guys get. It's like Seinfeld. People didn't get it. It was a show about nothing. Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's a show about nothing.
but I like those shows.
I didn't know people didn't get Seinfeld.
It's not just the writing. It's the reaction of the characters. It's, well, who's Penny? You have to see the way she reacts and how she grew from a little bumpkin to someone that can't understand the language that Sheldon's speaking, sort of like your David Tulis in the morning, where sometimes you have to open your thesaurus or your dictionary.
And your mind.
Then all of a sudden you go, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, hey, TV's not for everybody, I guess, and I'm just not into The Big Bang Theory. I think it's because it offends me. Maybe it's too much like me that I'm offended.
Because you relate to Sheldon.
Frickin' A, man. I knew.
No, everybody's Sheldon.
Dadgummit.
Oh, no. You're definitely not Sheldon, Keon.
Well, that's good.
You're Cupelli.
Who's that?
Okay, now I'm offended. Triggered, sir.
That's the guy that can't talk to women.
Oh. Keon has a girlfriend, though.
Like he's really quiet, but when he talks, you can't shut him up.
That sounds like somebody I know.
Huh.
Yeah, you're definitely Cupelli, definitely. And
I mean, that's the subjectivity of it all, I guess.
I suppose so.
yeah, and I think there's this girl named Jay, and she reminds me of Sheldon's girlfriend.
Sheldon has a girlfriend?
And she's kind of nerdy, but really smart. I mean, like really smart, but not nerdy, but just I don't know what the word. I'm trying to find the word here. Comes off not like a penny, but not real sophisticated, but really doesn't know how smart she is.
Okay. So she's not like self-serving, I guess.
Well, I mean, she is smart. I will agree with that.
Who was Sheldon's girlfriend or Jay? Because I might agree.
Jay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know Sheldon's girlfriend. I stopped watching the show by that point.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for your call, caller.
And Wallowitz, I don't know. Does your station have a Jew?
A what?
Say what now?
Yeah, because it's self-deprecating humor because he beats himself up for being a Jew. Which is kind of funny.
I guess
it's just like the voice of his mother in that show to
how
me.
can't you like the lines about his mom having hair on her back?
I don't even remember.
I do remember that. That was kind of funny, though. That bit was
And
pretty
actually, there was one episode where he was acting very feminine to his wife, and she was calling him a wussy, and she was going to get him monthly pads. And she goes, "Are you putting this on your mom?" And he says, "Yes, this is estrogen in it." He goes, "Well, I didn't adjust it for the square footage."
Oh my gosh!
Oh.
Well, thanks for your call.
That sounds good. But Big Bang is a great show. One of the best. I'd say one of the best sitcoms. I'm going to rank it. You should ask people rank their top 5 sitcoms.
All right.
We'll go with Gilligan's Island, Beverly Hillbillies, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Big Bang Theory, and probably Jackie Gleason show.
The Honeymooners?
No, the Jackie Gleason show.
Oh, just the Jackie Gleason show. Because he was also in the Honeymooners. Okay, yeah. No, I'm actually impressed you had that off the top of your head, your top 5.
I couldn't think of 5 sitcoms. I couldn't think of 5 sitcoms off the top of my head to save my life.
Yeah.
If someone pointed a gun at my head, I'd be like,
top 5 sitcoms. Frasier, Frasier.
Frasier and Seinfeld. Cheers, right? That's one.
I would just name the first 5 sitcoms that came to mind.
Ancient Aliens.
But I don't know. I can't say that I don't get the Big Bang Theory because of my age. All of those characters are supposed to be my age.
Yeah, but they act like they're 60.
This is, yeah.
I mean,
they're clearly written by a much older person.
Yeah.
Or like whoever like the writing staff is for that. Like they're definitely all older than the characters that they are writing.
It'd be funny if they were like all the writers are people we liked. You know,
right.
Like Norm Macdonald is a writer. That would make it funnier though. Like if I found out Norm Macdonald was a writer on The Big Bang Theory, I'd probably laugh at it more, which is kind of odd.
Because you couldn't possibly imagine that being Norm Macdonald's humor. Like there would just be a sense of irony involved. That like if you could like imagine like I don't know Hannibal Buress or something like writing for The Big Bang Theory, that would be so bizarre.
Oh gosh,
like it doesn't compute.
What if like what's his name? The guy like oh shoot, I forgot Dave Chappelle. What if Dave Chappelle was the writer? You got Norm Macdonald and Dave Chappelle. They're both writers for Big Bang Theory.
That would be the single most bizarre revelation. Like my mind would split.
Maybe they wrote it as a joke.
And it just took off.
The show itself was they're like, no one will ever make
no
this.
No one will ever like this pirate.
And this guy's a nerd. But the twist is that he's a nerd. All right. This character here. Now he's a nerd.
I could imagine Norm Macdonald saying that exactly like that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you haven't, by the way, seen Norm Macdonald, look him up, and his Hitler bit is the funniest. It's not offensive. It's the funniest thing.
Which is pretty crazy because Norm Macdonald has gone. He's crossed the line many times.
Oh yeah, but it's all in the name of good fun.
Of humor.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, Norm Macdonald, like anytime I watch anything he does, I just die laughing.
Well,
he's good.
He is good. And we watched the episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, which to me, I think is a decent way to get an introduction to a comedian.
Yes, absolutely.
Because they just hang out with Jerry Seinfeld in a car and then they get coffee. And whoever that person is, like playing off of Jerry Seinfeld will kind of give you an idea of what they are. The Norm Macdonald one is one of the funniest ones of all time.
That and the one with the guy from Mystery Science Theater whose name completely escapes me, Joel something. Joel, not Mike. I know Mike Nelson, but not Joel. Whatever. Anyway, the one with Joel is really, really funny. And I haven't seen that one. It's really good. I wish he would get Mike Nelson on there too, because he's one of my favorite funny people. Basically, anything Mystery Science Theater has ever done is really good, except I would argue the new series on Netflix, which is, I would say, really not very good.
Really?
Because they, again, do the thing where it's like, look, we're all nerds. Because like Mike is kind of a jock sort of guy in the later seasons, like in the second half of the series. He's sort of the jockey kind of guy, and it gets like there's some references to stuff, but it's all like just like it's a joke about that kind of thing, and it's not like, look, we know about it. You know? I don't know. The guy who does the riffing on the movies is pretty good, but they did one thing. This is something that you can do that will make me instantly hate your show no matter how good it is. They put Will Wheaton in it.
Will Wheaton people hate Will Wheaton.
See, the thing is, I actually liked Wesley. I don't mind Wesley as a character, and that's kind of odd, actually. But
yeah, because that's the prevailing reason why people hate Will Wheaton so much.
I don't care about that because child actors do, roles that are bad sometimes, and I don't mind Wesley all the time. He's okay sometimes. He gets better. He actually has character development, oddly enough. But Will Wheaton is capitalizing so much on the whole, like, look, we're all nerds thing. I used to be in Star Trek. Look how much I like nerd stuff. Ugh. And they try to make a culture out of such a big thing. And it's not even a big thing. It's many little things. Because, like, I might not like Star Wars at all, but I might really like Star Trek. So, like, the whole, like, nerd fandom thing, like, I'm not going to relate to half of it because most of them are all about Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You just described me, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't grow up watching Star Wars. I very, very, very recently watched Star Wars, and I like it. But I grew up with Star Trek. The reruns on TV, the original series, and The Next Generation.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. And so, yeah, like that. It's what makes you a nerd is the little things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody likes music. I've never met somebody that can hear that just doesn't like music. But like whether or not you are a music nerd is like how small do you get? Like how far down subgenres do you actually go?
Sure.
That typically tends to be like, okay, that person's a music nerd. Not necessarily which genre you like, but that you decided to go so far down into like black gaze, you've ascended to another level that none of us can ever reach. That's you That's all you.
I just really like post-ironic vaporwave. Pre-ironic future funk is what I'm into right now. And by the way, there are quite a few good future funk artists out there. Man, you ever heard synthwave? That's a thing too, by the way. Mega Drive does good synthwave.
I'm actually a very big synthwave fan.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. Yeah, Mega Drive is great, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
Yeah, that guy's rad.
I've been getting more into vaporwave music. I've listened to a few lately, but yeah, like you just get into this stuff. Like everybody likes cars. People like driving places. Fancy cars look nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a friend who's just abandoned the notion of American cars and is so into like Japanese
JDM.
Old Japanese cars from like the 70s and 80s.
Like the Datsuns and
yeah.
Oh, nice.
He's down that rabbit hole. That guy's a nerd.
I love Datsuns too. They're cool looking cars.
They are nice. Yeah.
Cheaper too. Cheaper than the American alternative.
Which, that probably helps a little bit too.
Just a little bit. It's kind of like AMC, American Motor Company, came out with a bunch of cool muscle cars that were like arguably slightly better than the big brands and possibly more reliable because it was the 70s and everything was terrible then.
Everything was awful, but made out of steel.
Everything was awful, but made out of really heavy stuff. So if you died, you'd die really horrifically, but your car would survive.
Your car would survive, would outlive you. There's a high chance.
Real quick, favorite album?
Loveless, My Bloody Valentine.
Okay, I'm going to cheat. Favorite EP? Pigment by the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa, which are basically the same thing.
There you go.
There you go.
Two Millennials Talk. I'm Keon Rose.
I'm Russell Stroud, and my real favorite album is Alien Lanes by Yaya by Voices.
Well, there you go. Listen to The Life of Pause by Wild Nothing.
Will do.